Okay, so basically let's start a bit with the beginning. Before the whole genre with Volbeat, you were actually a more brutal band. And at what point of that career did you make this decision? Okay, let's start something else. Let's start something new.
Basically, I've just grown very tired of what I was doing before, which were more death metal style. That was my former band called Dominus, and I just grew tired of it. I had so many other ideas that I couldn't do continuing playing in Dominus. And it definitely had something to do with all the melodies I had in my head from the 50s, because my parents were playing it all the time, playing Elvis, Johnny Cash, Little Richard and Jerry Lewis and stuff like that. But I was still very much inspired by the heavy metal scene, so I thought, why not, keep the sound, the heavy sound, but let the music be a combination of the 50s melodies and whatever. If I wanted to have a country intro and let it burst into a metal song, why not? It maybe on the paper it looks difficult and crazy, but it actually seems to work pretty well for Volbeat, because we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, and then came Volbeat and its first album, which had actually a huge success in Europe. Do you think that the whole scene needed something like this?
Oh, definitely. I think that it's a combination of a lot of things. It's of course something to do with that we've been touring a lot, and so people have been capable to recognize us on the road, and but of course you also with a style like that, I also believe that you have to be there at the right time. If we came up in the 80s, nobody would probably care, because a lot of other things were interesting at that certain time. So it's a combination of a lot of things, but definitely also that I believe that we were there at the right time.
So you think that somehow the metal scene lacks in originality in some points of view?
I don't know. It's a good question, because me and my friends were actually a couple of days ago talking about what's going to happen when Metallica, Iron Maiden, AC/DC, Black Sabbath, those kind of bands, when they retire, they're really big legends. Who's going to take over? And it's like, if you think about it, there's really nobody to do that. And maybe it's because a lot of the bands who are there today are so much inspired by those legends, and we are too. So it's what was the question?
In some points of view, the metal scene today.
I just think generally it's very difficult to be original these days, because there are so many bands, and if you ask me, the best music was written in the 50s. What comes after is just copycats and people who are progressing sound and stuff like that. I think it's very hard to be original those days. I don't see Volbeat as an original band. The original thing in Volbeat is the combination of different styles mashed together, or smashed together, what you call it. That's probably what's original about Volbeat. But because if you listen, you can hear the inspiration from Metallica, and you can hear the inspiration from Johnny Cash and Elvis and great metal bands and punk bands. You can definitely hear the inspiration. But the combination is probably what is really original about Volbeat. So we didn't think too much about it in the beginning. We just, actually believed now that we actually have something that's unique and good for us, because it's a tough way of making a living, playing music, but maybe we were here at the right time.
And now there's a new album in the works. Any update on that?
yeah, it's finished. Everything is done, and it's going to be released in, I think it's in the middle of September. It's we use the same producer, Jacob Hansen, again, and basically we stick to what we're doing. It's not like we changed anything. Of course, it's a new record, and we try stuff out that we haven't done before. As you probably know, we're fooling around with a lot of different styles and instruments and stuff like that, and we also do that on the coming album. We stretch a lot of things that we haven't done before. We stretch it even further. Things we have done before, it's getting stretched. We have a lot of really cool, interesting guest musicians on the coming album, which will really surprise a lot of people.
Earlier this year, I think, you had some medical issues. I mean, you fainted on stage. I can't remember exactly where, but what was the story about that?
Oh, it was in Netherlands, and I was really sick. I had a very high fever and a very bad flu, and I was going through a lot of shows being sick, and I could sense for every show I did, my body was getting weaker. It was like I couldn't eat or drink anything without puking and shitting all over the place, and I even had to shit 2 times in a plastic bag in the tour bus because you're not allowed to shit in the toilet. So we have to drive into a gas station and get rid of my bags with shit in it. You know, I was really sick and soaking wet in sweat because of the fever. So that night, you know, the show has been sold out for a very long time, and you still feel responsible for doing your job. And it was like, I've been sick so many times, and you know, I still managed to get through. And we played 5. I told the audience that I was sick, but I would try to do the show. But after, I believe it was after 5 songs, I felt really bad. My legs were really heavy. I was seeing stars in the air every time I was breathing. And then I remember walking back, and the floor disappeared. And I was rushed to a hospital where they did a blood test and checked my heart. Everything was checked, and they said, you're in really good shape and everything looks good, but it's crazy that you've actually been able to play all those shows because you have nothing in your body. You know, there's no food, no water, and you still have a very high fever. You're actually still sick. You should stay in bed. So it was some kind of dehydrating thing, but it's just like a car, you know. It has a spare tank, and you can use that until the gas or the benzene is done, then it stops. It's the same thing with your body. If it doesn't have anything to work with, you know, it tells you to sleep.
Did you see the video with you falling?
Of course I did, because people were really scared, and only a few hours later, you know, it was on YouTube, and of course family and friends and were really, you know, they were afraid. You know, there was even rumors that I died at the hospital and stuff like that. And a lot of stupid a lot of stupid things was going. People were walking out crying and stuff like that. And somebody thought I was on drugs, and I never done drugs or do drugs. I like a little bit of whiskey now and then, but you know, that doesn't make you faint. You know. So yeah, I saw the video clip, and you know, I totally understand that why my family don't like to see that again, you know. And I've only seen it 2 times, and it's just a living proof that you have to, you know, you have to take care of yourself. And if your body tells you to go to bed, then do it.
And do you have any odd reaction when you see in the public, in the crowd, people like they're 40 or 50 dancing?
I love people who are dancing, because if you are dancing, it means that you're happy and you're doing good. Not that you have to dance for being happy, but generally when people dance, they're in a good mood. And if people are in a good mood because of my music or my presence on stage, you know, that's a very big compliment.